got to do anything. You do what you feel like. You're president of the board.
Can I run this through the shredder? Can I be the one when it's officially over?
You can, but
All right.
it won't be very nice to you.
No, I mean when it's officially over.
I'll pull your pink beard.
Laminated, I don't know how that's going to take.
How's it look?
Yeah.
Does it look okay? Okay, the regular public meeting of the Township of Whitehall Board of Commissioners will come to session. After the Pledge of Allegiance, we'll have a moment of silence for our troops serving home and abroad. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Oh, that's an idiot that altered this.
I'll live.
Whitehall Township has an obligation to affirmatively further fair housing and to review all land use applications in accordance with federal civil rights statutes. This includes taking meaningful actions that overcome patterns of segregation and foster inclusive communities free from barriers that restrict access to opportunity based on protected characteristics. The township, in its land use decisions, does not discriminate against persons based on race, color, national origin, religion, sex, disability, or familial status, and reviews all land use applications in accordance with federal civil rights statutes. Public comments made on the basis of bias and stereotype concerning people within these protected classes will not be taken into consideration by the township in its deliberations. I'll take a motion to approve the minutes of the regular public meeting from September 13th.
I'll make that motion.
I have a second.
I'll second.
Any questions from the board? Hearing none. Mr. Secretary, please pull the board.
Commissioner Marks?
Yes.
Commissioner Clary?
Aye.
Commissioner Warren?
Aye.
Commissioner Swaniker? Aye. Commissioner Ginder? Commissioner Dutt?
Yes.
And President Howard.
Yes.
Passes 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Of courtesy of the floor.
Mario, is that Spagnoletti?
Mario Spagnoletti, 351 Sumner Avenue. On Thursday, October 18th, there's going to be a meeting on stormwater solutions for emerging weather patterns, Lehigh Valley opportunities. It's going to be held at Lehigh University, and the subject will be Lehigh Valley municipalities are currently challenged by stormwater management update requirements. Changing weather patterns are expected to increase these challenges. Learn how other communities are addressing stormwater issues through sustainable and green infrastructure. It's being sponsored by Citizens Climate Lobby, I believe the Lehigh Valley, Lehigh University Environmental Initiative, and Lehigh Valley Sustainability Network. Now, my daughter's on one of these committees, so she instructed me that I should give each commissioner, of course the mayor. It sounds like a good pattern, but I'll be hunting deer at that time, so I won't be able to make it.
Thank you, Mario.
Did you hear that?
No, I'm bleeding, I can't.
So, pretty fancy thing.
I need a Band-Aid.
He actually cut himself.
Oh.
Band-Aid. Is there Band-Aids nearby?
Yeah, got one. No, not that one.
Oh, you got
He's
one.
coming. Believe you me, they've done this with me. Look, that might- Thank you, Mario.
Thank you, Mario.
You want one?
Sure. Let's see.
Bless you. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Bless you. Thank you.
Anybody else for courtesy of the floor? Moving on. Bill number 22-2018, an ordinance authorizing the mayor of the township of Whitehall to enter into a license agreement with Christina V. and Francisco E. Alamestica to permit the encroachment of a proposed fence, an existing deck, an existing shed, and into an existing storm sewer easement at 927 Second Street, Whitehall, Lehigh County, Pennsylvania. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, who was first and who
Jeff
was
and
second
Jeff.
there?
Jeff Dunn.
Jeff and Jeff?
Yeah, Jeff and Jeff.
Okay, who's going first?
Commissioner Warren can go
Oh,
first.
okay.
Any questions from the board?
Okay.
Any questions from the floor? Hearing none, Mr. Secretary, please poll the board.
Commissioner Warren,
Aye.
Commissioner Dutt,
Yes.
Commissioner Marks?
Yes.
Commissioner Ginder,
Yes.
Commissioner Swanager, aye. Commissioner Clary,
Aye.
and President Harr.
Yes.
Okay, bill passes 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Bill number 23-2018, an ordinance deferring the required installation of curbing and sidewalks along the American Street frontage of 1058 Third Street for a distance of approximately 115 feet as required in Chapter 21, Section 407 of the Codified Ordinances of Whitehall Township. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions from the board?
Frank, this is on the north side.
Actually, it's on, well, the north side of American Street.
Yes.
Yes.
And there, is this the area where the parking lot is currently?
Yeah, there's a sidewalk existing from Third
parking.
Street back, and then the parking lot starts. There's no differentiation between what's a little bit of American Street and the parking lot. So it's all paved already. So that's the existing situation right now.
So where would this sidewalk go then?
I guess you'd have to cut out the blacktop and put a sidewalk in, but then you'd have to put it at grade, so it wouldn't be any different than the elevation of the existing surface.
Is a parking setback far enough that there would be?
Kind of hard to tell, it's
Yeah.
kind of evolved.
But it's impervious cover already.
Yeah,
Yeah, so you're gonna change one impervious cover to another.
and it would be concrete rather than the blacktop, which is what's there now.
Any other questions? Any questions from the floor?
This is just my name is Bill Malcolmus. This is just simply a lot line adjustment. No development is contemplated,
Okay,
just between two neighbors
right,
after 4 years.
right, okay. Any other comments? Hearing none, Mr. Secretary, please pull the board.
Commissioner Ginder,
No.
Commissioner Swanager, nay. Commissioner Warren,
Aye.
Commissioner Clary,
Aye.
Commissioner Dutt,
No.
Commissioner Marks,
No.
and President Howard.
Yes.
Motion's defeated, 4 nays, 3 ayes.
Bill number 24-2018, an ordinance authorizing the acceptance of a proposal for the purchase of equipment for the fire department in accordance with section 3.20 of the Home Rule Charter, which requires authorization of acquisitions in excess of $25,000 by ordinance. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the floor? Hearing none, Mr. Secretary, please pull the board.
Commissioner Dutt,
Yes.
Commissioner Warren,
Aye.
Commissioner Clary,
Aye.
Commissioner Swanager, aye. Commissioner Ginder,
Yes.
Commissioner Marks,
Yes.
and President Howard.
Yes.
Bill passes 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Bill number 25-2018, an ordinance authorizing the acceptance of a proposal for the purchase of a Faro S70 3D laser scanner for the Bureau of Police in accordance with section 3.20 of the Home Rule Charter, which requires authorization of acquisitions in excess of $25,000 by ordinance. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions from the board? Any questions? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
The item, is it a CoStar's item, or we're just gonna go out for 3 bids?
No, it's a sole source
Sole
item.
source, all right.
Yeah,
As
it's
long as we're.
Unique
agreed
and
it's a-
patented, the technology.
Got it. Very good.
Any questions from the floor? Hearing none, Mr. Secretary, please pull the board.
Commissioner Marks,
Yes.
Commissioner Clary,
Aye.
Commissioner Sloniker, aye. Commissioner Warren,
Aye.
Commissioner Ginder,
Yes.
and Commissioner Dutt,
Yes.
and President Hauer.
Yes.
Bill passes 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Resolution number 3028, a resolution to establish the amount of the treasurer's bond for 2018, with said bond to be secured through the County of Lehigh Clerk of Judicial Records. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions from the board? Questions from the floor? Hearing none, Mr. Secretary, please pull the board.
Commissioner Ginder,
Yes.
Commissioner Marks,
Yes.
Commissioner Dutt,
Yes.
Commissioner Sloniker, aye. Commissioner Clary,
Aye.
Commissioner Warren,
Aye.
President Hauer.
Yes.
Resolution passes 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Resolution number 3029, a resolution conditionally approving the minor subdivision plan of 717 7th Street, located at 717 7th Street, Lehigh County, Pennsylvania, index number 1921-18. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Questions from the board? No? Questions from the floor? Hearing none, Mr. Secretary, please pull the board.
Commissioner Dutt,
Yes.
Commissioner Ginder,
Yes.
Commissioner Marks,
Yes.
Commissioner Sloniker, aye. Commissioner Clary,
Aye.
Commissioner Warren,
Aye.
President Hauer.
Yes.
Resolution passes 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Resolution number 3030, a resolution conditionally approving the major subdivision plan of 1074 and 1058 Third Street, located at 1074 and 1058 Third Street, Lehigh County, Pennsylvania, index number 1890-16. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Questions from the board? Questions from the floor? Hearing none, Mr. Secretary, please pull the board.
Commissioner Ginder,
Yes.
Commissioner Clary,
Aye.
Commissioner Warren,
Aye.
Commissioner Sloniker, aye. Commissioner Dutt,
Yes.
Commissioner Marks,
Yes.
President Hauer.
Yes.
Resolution passes 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion to designate Friday, October 26, 2018, from 6 to 8 p.m. as the official trick-or-treat night in Whitehall Township with a rain date of Saturday, October 27th, 2018.
I'll make that motion.
You didn't ask yet.
I did it last week, too.
Do I have a motion?
You have a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
How many questions do we have about this?
Just Mr. Clary one Saturday.
And Commissioner Warren.
Yeah, I guess the last meeting in the workshop, it came up in discussion about whether Friday night or Saturday night is the best night for trick-or-treating, given there's football games going on and all that, so. That's what this discussion is about.
Well, you know, I mean, obviously we could change it now, but everybody's.
No, and we agreed it's
we
not
were
three.
agreeing, we were all in agreement about Friday
but if
for
there's-
this year.
I think that, you know, maybe you can bring that up in.
It is
Probably legal
tradition
and
that it's every
legislative.
Friday night. And it will be Friday night again.
Wow.
There's no comments from the
The guy
floor,
with pink
correct?
beard.
Right? Yeah. Throw a little pink in the beard and then, this is now a dictatorship. We are going to have trick or treat on Friday.
The Most controversial issue.
Of all the arguments we could get into, it's the night of trick or treat.
There's a movie called Overlord.
Yes, right.
The pink overlord.
Let's vote. Who's in opposition?
Is he gonna pull out a gun?
I would
Have
like
at
to,
it. Mr. Secretary, please pull the board.
I retract my motion.
No.
Commissioner Marks,
Yes.
Commissioner Dutt,
Yes.
Commissioner Ginder,
Yes.
Commissioner Clary,
Aye.
Commissioner Warren,
Aye.
Commissioner Swaniker, aye. President Hauer.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
4
7
yeses and
ayes.
3 ayes means
0
7 to
nays.
nothing.
Yeah.
Motion to approve the reappointment of Robert J. Abbott to the Recreation Commission, term expiring September 30th, 2021. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
See, I miss a meeting and all the fun happens.
It was 3 hours.
I'm glad I missed it. I was doing something good. Any questions from the board?
I think Bob's a great person. He been on several activities that he's been responsible for helping coordinate, so he's doing a great job.
Awesome. Any questions from the floor? Hearing none, Mr. Secretary, please pull the board.
Commissioner Dutt,
Yes.
Commissioner Warren,
Aye.
Commissioner Clary,
Aye.
Commissioner Marks,
Yes.
Commissioner Swaniker, aye. Commissioner Ginder,
Yes.
President Hauer.
Yes.
Motion passes 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion to approve Peter Passeri to serve on the fire police. Did I say his name right? I'm sorry. Close enough?
Close enough for
All right.
me.
Motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Questions from the board? Questions from the floor? Hearing none, Mr. Secretary, please pull the board.
Commissioner Marks,
Yes.
Commissioner Ginder,
Yes.
Commissioner Dutt,
Yes.
Commissioner Warren,
Aye.
Commissioner Clary,
Aye.
Commissioner Swaniker, aye. President Hauer.
Yes.
Motion passes 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Motion to approve James Buckland Jr. to serve on fire police. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions from the board? Questions from the floor? Hearing none, Mr. Secretary, please pull the board.
Commissioner Swaniker, aye. Commissioner Clary,
Aye.
Commissioner Warren,
Aye.
Commissioner Ginder,
Yes.
Commissioner Dutt,
Yes.
Commissioner Marks,
Yes.
President Hauer.
Yes.
Motion passes 7 ayes, 0 nays.
Move on to Board of Commissioners report. Mr. Marks, we'll start with you.
I would like to inform everyone that the Sewer Authority received a $100,000 grant from PA Small Water and Sewer Program for Prospect and the Summit Street sewering project. We also took delivery of a 2018 Peterbilt jet truck, which is going to serve the Sewer Authority well. And I wanted to reach out to Chief Marks and his staff and everyone that served on the committee, Jack, the mayor, for moving forward with this public safety building. I know I've been a thorn in a lot of people's sides for the last 3 years, but I feel strongly that it's completely necessary, and I just want to thank them for all their hard work and diligence to get this moving forward. Hopefully, it'll come to fruition soon. That's all I have.
Commissioner Dutt?
Just a couple things. October 27th from 11 to 4 in the Thomas Ironworks neighborhood is the tours for the historic walk and for the neighborhood there. Right now, we have about 40 people that are signed up for tours. So it's a really good response so far. So thank the committee for putting that together. Second thing is I have a question for our lovely treasurer. Last year, we discussed on the Board of Commissioners about making our garbage fee quarterly. Are we moving ahead with that? When do we need to do that?
Well, I think
before-
it's something the board needs to talk about, but there are pros and cons. We have a number of elderly people who are very much in favor of it. We also have a number of people who are against it, who feel that it would just give more work and cost more money to collect it quarterly. So I think it's something that the board has to discuss.
Okay. So is this something we can bring up for the next month to see if we wanna do that? Along with our budget, or L and
Yeah.
L on,
Either that or budget time, Jack, which is better? Probably L and L would be the first thing to see if there's an interest in doing it.
I know we talked about this before.
Yeah, and we'd have to see exactly how we do that budgetarily wise, because I know it would increase costs
Yes,
for collection.
that's
Because it's
just an issue.
payments out, you're gonna be short,
Yeah,
so that would have to be dealt with.
yeah. Because, you know, with, the non-compliance rate for payment of garbage is way more than real estate. I mean, if we have 100,000, 150 in real estate outstanding, we're lucky. But, you know, garbage is like in the 300,000.
300,000.
And that's 300 a pop, so, you know, it could be an excuse for some people not to pay. It could be an excuse for people to pay one payment and then let everything lapse. I don't know, you know, it's something really needs to be considered.
There's really no recourse for people who don't pay their garbage bill, because you can't stop the garbage. So you can put a lien against their house and they don't care, you know, they let it go. But there are seniors who have questioned it, but the seniors are not the ones who don't pay the bill. They find a way to pay it.
I have a question. When we do a CO in the township, do we inform the new homeowner? Because what I've run into is, I run into younger couples who move into the township who aren't aware that there is a garbage bill. They think it's part of their escrow and it's part of their mortgage.
With all due respect, that's not our position.
Okay.
I mean, we do tell them when they come in, but I think it's the part of the settlement company or the person who's selling them their home to let them know about their obligations, and they don't. And then they come in here and they're shocked. But we do our very best to tell people when they come in for moving permits. Unfortunately, they're not informed by the parties that should be informing them.
is that something maybe we can put in our next newsletter as well?
It's in the newsletter.
It is in the newsletter?
It's been on the bills, it's
Okay.
in the newsletters, and we inform them on their end, but I think that they don't read settlement sheets and they don't pay attention. Nice way of putting it, I guess.
Accidentally, it generally only happens once. Purposefully, it might happen more times for people who don't pay their garbage bill.
Well, yeah, the reason I brought that up is because we talked about it a couple times, and I just wondered if we wanted to do it or not, so that's something we need to discuss. And the last thing I have is, thank you to everybody who had a hand in the Fall Festival on Saturday. A great success, the parade was a success. Also got really good comments about the volunteers from the high school who worked with State Farm in the drunk driving simulator. And so really appreciate everybody putting that together, and it was a good time by all. So that's all I have.
I have nothing to add at this point.
This is only, Frank, this is only because I had a couple people ask,
sure.
how deep are they gonna go on South Church Street? Are they trying to, is this gonna be another quarry?
No.
I mean, you can't see the equipment in there now, I mean,
Yeah, it's,
now it appears they're starting to put dirt over what they
Right,
dug up
they-
in rock.
right, they had to over-excavate in order to get a cushion in there for the liner. Okay, so they're about as far as they need to go, but it's been a lot of tough digging for them. So,
Okay, it just, that's sort of what I thought, but I wasn't sure, but, I mean, wow.
yeah,
Wow.
that's a little expensive out there.
Yeah.
What they hit. Well, it's unusual because there's a quarry I see right across the street.
Hard to believe that
Shocking,
there's rock
yeah.
somewhere else, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are they squared away on top of the hill there now, Frank?
With the ENS controls? Yeah, actually, we've been out there with them for about 2.5, 3 weeks. Every day they add more. They've had a couple of blowouts. They've had the right silt socks in according to the design, and that's been all installed and inspected as per plan. The problem was that some of the force of that water, they just weren't ready for. And we've had more than their share of blowouts. So we had conservation up there, we had our people up there, they had their engineers out, so they redesigned some beefier silt socks as well as some interim measures further up so they can catch some of that water. There's still gonna be runoff, but it's not gonna be muddy. That's the goal here. So they've, like I said, they've had their share of problems up there, and they've been very diligent, I gotta say that. Also, they did get a notice of violation from Conservation District, so they have to answer that. And I believe that's inspections on Thursday of this week. So it's been a bit of a rough go of it, but we think we've got it under control now.
Just one thing, I just want to congratulate President Howard and his fundraising efforts for the American Cancer Society. Just being someone that's around fundraising for much of my adult life, I know how hard it is to raise money. And the accomplishment and the milestones you've reached is pretty remarkable. So
We're not done.
congratulations and
Thank you.
keep it going.
Thank you.
One thing, just this year, grass pickup started the week of April 2nd, and yard waste pickup, leaf pickup ends the last week of November. I know last year we talked with the warming season extending into October, the leaves are retaining longer. So maybe next year, I guess we could see how things go this year, but maybe next year, if we can delay grass pickup or something a week or two, but extend the leaf pickup into the first week in November or second week, if the leaves are still a problem like they were last year.
My presumption is that we can do that. And we probably need to assess in another few weeks, or 2 weeks at the very most,
Yeah.
to see if we're gonna be able to do that.
I think,
We're gonna have to. We're gonna have to extend the openings at the Cameron track too, in order to guarantee we can get people the option of coming down there. But right now, to be honest, I haven't given a thought to it. John probably has, and I've no doubt that I'll be hearing from him shortly. I see Larissa shaking her head yes. So she's the one who knows things here.
and I think last year the thought was to shift the one and the other just so that it didn't change our garbage contract. It was just altering the pickup times.
Yeah, I believe John Backus has already checked on that, and I believe it's just gonna transition through, that you'll be able to put out leaves as long as you need to.
Okay, that's fantastic, thank you.
And those things turn into compost for us ultimately.
Is that it?
That's it, thank you.
And again, I want to thank everybody in the community that's come out and helped me. I set a goal of 10,000 and I would dye it pink, and we blew past that pretty quick. By the end of the week, I should be up to about 30, and that's all due to everybody here in this community, and that actually ranks us nationally in the top 5 out of 2,500. So it is amazing to see what can happen when a community comes together. And I'm really, really appreciative of that. And obviously, I've dyed it 3 times so far because it just doesn't stay in. So if that's what I've got to do, I'll do that the entire month. It's been fun. Yeah, it's been a real great time. We had a great time at Chick-fil-A the other night. It was a great night. So thanks to everybody. Thank you.
Can I just say, you've done a great job there. Imagine what would have happened if you were better looking.
I know. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? So all these kids, they all ran away scared. They were like, "What is that?" The funniest part was there was a little kid that came into the Chick-fil-A, and I went to hand him a little pink bracelet, and he's like, "I'm not wearing pink." It was so funny. He was like, stomps
I've got
by.
mine from him.
I was yeah. It was so cute. It really made me laugh. But yeah, it's been a really great experience. So. Mr. Mayor, your report.
A couple of things. The cake has arrived.
Meeting adjourned.
So.
Yeah. Motion to adjourn.
The first thing is that the board has accepted the plans that we've shown them for the public safety building. And we've worked hard at producing a plan and a timeline that we think is going to help us get this thing done with a shovel in the ground in the spring of 2020. It's woefully needed. You all know that. Anybody who's been in there knows that. And I appreciate all of the work that the entire staff did, but Mr. Marks, Chief Marks, did a great job of moving this thing along. And congratulations to the board for their support. Thank you very much, and to the staff for the hard work they've put in. And this goes back, this thing didn't begin 7 weeks ago or 4 months ago. It began a long time ago when the administration started looking at options and looking at locations. And the time was right for us to move forward. And it looks like as a group collectively, hopefully with the support of the entire community, we'll have a building that we can be proud of to support our police department and make some improvements inside the administration building so we have a more public-friendly experience when they come in here. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, along with Jeff and Carl Lagler, we were at a meeting for a conversation about the cement and bridge. Things are moving forward there. We've talked about configurations for the trail, configurations for the development of that bridge project, and they're moving along pretty quickly. We hope to see that done within the next 2 years. I guess we have a shot at that. Would you think that, Jeff?
Yes, they're entering the preliminary design, and they were taking public input, or
Right.
municipal input.
So they're moving forward assertively, and I think it's going to be helpful to us in the end. The other thing was, along with Carl Lagler and I forget who else is along with me now, I was down in at the PennDOT facility on Hamilton Street to look at what was going to be impacted by the widening of 22 as that progresses. I don't think that's going to begin seeing anything happening until at least 2023, but they've shown us what they intend to take, and unfortunately, all of Wood Street looks like it's going to be grabbed for that development. That will become an exit ramp from westbound 22, and it'll basically oppose the existing light that's from the access onto westbound 22 from southbound in 3rd Street. So it's going to be one of those opposite ramps, but it's also one of the kinds of ramps that we're having problems with right now along MacArthur Road. And hopefully they'll do a better job of dealing with that, because we don't have the kind of traffic on Fullerton Avenue as we do out on MacArthur Road. MacArthur Road is becoming a problem, and we're looking for ways to deal with that. I don't know that there's an effective management tool that we can implement right now. But at any rate, getting back to that, they are required, they being the state, are required to make us whole with what we take, and they have to give us actually even more value for the land that they take for recreation. And we're looking at the possibility of improving the situation at the Fullerton Park, and we're also looking at improvements as we can make them along the Grist Mill property and over onto the Grimm property. If you have thoughts about anything else we might entertain, because it has to be in reasonable proximity to the area that they're taking. Those are the three that came to mind right away. If the board has any suggestions or input you'd like to provide, please do that. It would be nice if we can get some additional parking near the Grist Mill, but I just don't know that that's going to be a problem. But we may be able to accommodate something in the way of control so that people can walk across there. I also want to thank, as did Jeff, everyone on the staff and throughout the community for supporting the Fall Festival. I'm a little disappointed because I thought with Commissioner or Executive Armstrong and Tom and I, we would have had enough good-looking people in addition to my wife to win something, but we didn't, and I'm a little disappointed with that. But other than that, it's been a good month, and I think we have a lot of good things going, largely because of the support that you're lending the project. So thank you very much for the opportunity.
Treasurer's report?
We're good. I think we're where we need to be to work on a good budget, right, Jack?
I hope so.
I hope so too. I hope so too.
Can we be a little more optimistic at this point?
All right, motion to adjourn.
I'll just say Jack is working hard.
All right, always.
Always.
All right, motion to adjourn.
I'll move.
Sean, second?
Second.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Put it on L and L.